Hiya, and welcome back to Echo, the visual novel that 99.9% of all furries know about. Anyways, tonight we're hopefully going to finish up Leo's story. So, let's get to it. It's quieter this time around as we head out onto the deserted night street. Seems like things have settled a little, at least. Kudzu's fur still bristled out on the back of his neck. I'm starting to worry about him. He's been tense, even considering the situation we're in. Why is the chat thing not updating? There we go. Keep your eyes peeled anyway. Of course. I've also been sensing a strange sort of tension between the two of them. It can probably be put up to the situation currently at hand, though. We're all on edge. I can see the motel a ways down the road, but, ominously, the lights are all out. Duke has gone quiet for the most part. I wonder if he's just given up, or if he's planning something. Hopefully it's the former. I'm not really seeing anything out of the ordinary here. Trust me, things are fucked up. We pass the diner, the moonlight glinting softly off its metal edges. A dark, sick feeling sets in as I stare at the black windows. That's where it all started. Should we check to see if she's still there? Leo's quiet behind me for a moment, then clears his throat. Don't see why we'd need to do that. I don't know. To tell the cops about it or something? If the cops haven't been there, then I'm sure she's still in there. No use looking inside. Alright. Hey, it's gonna be okay. Alright? Not for Janice. Leo doesn't say anything to that as we continue down the road, finally reaching the motel parking lot. Keep moving. I look behind me and see that Duke's stopped, still looking back at the diner. I see something. What? Kudzu stops too, and looks back at us. Something. I look at the diner, but I see nothing moving in the windows, or in front of it. It's way too dark to see anything in there anyway. Leo prods at Duke's back, but the weasel refuses to move, rooted to the spot. Am I going to have to carry you? Leo lets go of Duke for just a moment, reaching up to turn him around, probably to throw the weasel over his shoulder. Before he can do that, Duke screams, long and loud, and raises all the hairs on the back of my neck. Before Leo can stop him, the weasel takes off into the night, away from the diner, toward a grouping of trees and bushes on the side of the road. Leo curses and immediately goes after him. Kudzu starts to follow. Don't follow me. Wait by the car. Leo shouts over his shoulder before disappearing into the brush. Then, more faintly, and watch chase. Kudzu and I stare into the darkness, listening to the two of them crash through the brush before fading out into silence. After a few moments, Kudzu rubs his head and turns to me. Well, guess we should get to the car then. I frown, not really worried that Duke can do much to Leo, but rather that they'll run into someone that could. Shouldn't be that hard to catch him, he's in handcuffs. Duke can be fast when he wants to be. Fuck. I feel like we should have gone with him. I keep staring into the darkness of the brush, and Kudzu puts a hand on my shoulder as he passes. Don't worry, Leo can take care of himself, especially when he's up against someone like Duke. A handcuffed Duke. Yeah. Reluctantly, I follow the raccoon. Leo's brief presence had been so strong and reassuring, it's kind of jarring to be without it again. At the same time, though, it's not all that different with Kudzu. Leo's just more overpowering with it, I guess. I fish my keys out of my pocket and suddenly realize where we're at. Hey, we should check our room. Jenna or TJ might be in there. Maybe even some of the others. Kudzu looks at the dark motel, scanning the rows of doors. Yeah, we should. But I think we should wait for Leo. I don't really trust anyone right now. I realize he's implying that one of my friends could have gone insane too. And I also realize I can't blame him. From what I saw and what I've heard, TJ might be acting the same way as Duke. That thought causes my stomach to turn sickly. Listen, I gotta, pee real quick, okay? Okay. I'm just gonna go over behind that corner. He points over to the side of the motel. No problem. I'm getting just a little annoyed that everyone is acting like I'm a little kid that needs to be watched. Cool, be right back. Kudzu does a little jog away before disappearing around the corner. I lean back against the door of the car, swinging the keys around a finger. It's completely quiet now, and I haven't heard a single gunshot since we got outside. I wonder if everyone that's been fighting is dead now. Or maybe they just realized how ridiculous the mayor's story was and left. Thinking about the supposed monster that I definitely don't believe in, though, has me looking over my shoulder into the darkness. Images of a hanging body crosses my mind. Shit. I look over to where Kudzu went. It's been a little while. Shouldn't he be done by now? A pop from the brush across the street makes me jump. Leo? My voice comes out in a whisper. There's definitely something there. Its form stands out just a shade darker than the trees behind it. It might be a bush, but it looks thin. Like a person. I squint at it, and that's when I see the glint of two eyes in the darkness. I freeze. Whoever it is, they're not responding to me, and that's definitely not a good sign. I decide that I'm just not going to move until Kudzu gets here. Yeah, and if it does move, I'll just run over to where Kudzu went. I don't think he'll mind catching him with his pants down if there's a fucking psychopath chasing after us. I see a thick tail swish out to the side of the dark thing. Slowly, I feel behind myself for the keyhole to the car door, sliding the key in and unlocking it. Actually, I'll just get in the car and... Footsteps to my right. Duke, his eyes wild, is on me in an instant. He slams into me so hard that I'm sent to the asphalt with an impact that rattles my brain. I roll over groggily and see Duke bent over, his hands fumbling on the ground. Somehow, he's moved his handcuffed hands from behind himself to the front. I realize that I don't have my keys anymore. At the same time that Duke stands up, keys in hand. Kudzu! I yell and reach for Duke, who dodges away, throwing some kicks at me before yanking open my car door. Fuck! I lunge for the handle, but I see the weasel slam down the lock just as I reach it. Kudzu comes running around the corner, just as Duke starts up the car. Duke! I shout uselessly at Kudzu as Duke peels out, yanking the handle from my grasp and forcing me to hop a step back to stop from being run over. Of course, I think that Duke's just going to take off down the road and get the hell out of Echo. I have no idea that he's going to turn sharply in the parking lot and come straight for me. Chase! Kudzu screams at me, just 20 feet away now. But there's no time. The car's coming at me. I jump to the left, but Duke easily follows my movement. I see the license plate and the headlights, which Duke hasn't turned on. I jump and land on the hood of the car as it hits me. I feel like my body is falling through the air. I see the stars and the moon. Then I land. Yo, what? Yo, what? The desert stretches and winds into the distance, rising and falling with the mountains, hills, and valleys. It's endless, monolithic, passionless. Except here. Its mark is clear on the land, like a stain, a blemish in the beige patchwork of the wilderness. The earth's bad, the air's bad, everything's tainted. Tainted. The mark is old, it's ancient. Been here longer than people. All people. And they knew it too. Everyone who's been here knows it. So do you, even though you're not from here. You were drawn to the stain like all the other evil that's planted itself here. You can see it right through the otter's eyes. You see its influence stretch above you like black tendrils into a dark red sky. They stretch, search, reach for anything alive to stain anything they touch. So it is. So it will always be. Chase! I stare groggily up at the face above me. A swirling mess of gray and black before I'm able to focus on the nose just inches away from my own. That crosses my eyes, which hurts, so I close them again. Chase? The voice is gentler this time, though no less concerned. I try to reach my hand up to assure whoever it is that I'm fine. I feel the soft, velvety sensation of an ear catch between my fingers, and the person above me stills. What happened? Are you guys okay? I mumble thickly past lips that don't seem to cooperate with words that don't seem to make sense. Are you? He hit you really hard. I feel a hand run over the top of my head, like it's looking for something. Did you hit your head? I feel my own head, keeping my other hand resting on Kudzu's head. That's right, Kudzu. I push myself up, suddenly realizing where I am and what just happened. I look around into the night, the surreal feeling of regaining consciousness in this nightmare making it all the more horrific. Shit, where is he? I try to push myself up, but Kudzu holds me down firmly. Duke? He took off. Somewhere. Kudzu looks around, his ears pointed up as if listening before looking back down at me as I try to sit up again. You need to stay down for now. Something might be injured. I think I'm okay. Just a little bit out of it. Kudzu gazes down at me, and for a moment, I'm left staring into his deep dark eyes. That's when the sound of feet slapping against asphalt breaks his spell, and Kudzu looks behind himself. What the hell? Duke just... Yo, what the fuck? Kudzu is suddenly shoved roughly away, and I find myself up in Leo's arms. What the fuck happened? Leo desperately looks me up and down as he holds me in his arms. Did he shoot you? What? No. He just hit me with a car. I see Leo's eyes widen and his ears shoot up. He suddenly turns his attention on Kudzu, hackles raised. What the fuck were you doing, Cud? Why weren't you watching him? Kudzu flinches back, then glares. He came out of nowhere, Leo. We were both trying to stop him. I can see Leo working himself up to shout something else. That's when I push myself out of his strong grip. Despite the circumstances, I'm bristling at the way I'm being coddled. Leo! He was driving a fucking car. There wasn't anything he could do. Now standing, I feel an achy sensation in my back, and my head spins a little. I brace my hands on my knees and wait for it to subside. I don't think you should be standing up so soon. I'm fine. Though now that I'm standing, I'm not completely sure of that. Worrying twinges and creaks pang throughout my body, but I force myself to straighten up, facing the other two. We need to keep moving, find the others, and get out of here. Leo moves up next to me, a big paw reaching out to wrap around my shoulder. I cringe, though, and Leo takes his hand back. You need me to carry you, honey? I grimace and shake my head, mostly because I feel like being slung over his back would be even worse. He settles on rubbing my back gently, eyes still looking me over, as if trying to spot some unseen injury. Let's get the hell to Peyton. Kudzu coughs awkwardly. We've lost the car, though. Oh yeah. My heart sinks. Even now, in the situation we're in, I'm a little angry that it was my car that was stolen. I worked hard to buy that thing, even if it was a junker. Leo shakes his head like it's a mild annoyance. Then we'll just have to use my van instead. Leo looks up the road in the direction of the diner where he left it 2 days ago. Wait, let's at least check the motel. See if any of the others are in our room. Otter. I'm sure the others have already gotten out by now. I mean, we haven't heard anything from any of them, though. And wouldn't they have brought the police or something? Leo looks back at the motel, chewing his lip. Alright, let's be fucking quick about it. We need to get the hell out of here so we can get everyone help. Yeah, real quick. I reach into my back pocket, pulling out the keycard as I hobble in the direction of our room, on the other side of the building. Kudzu reaches out to me. You need help? Leo shoulders the raccoon aside as he practically jumps to my side, gently pressing a hand into my back again. Stay close, Otter. Not gonna let something like that happen to you again. I try to ignore the tension I feel building between the other two. More than anything, I'm annoyed at Leo. Why is he acting like this? Sure, he was always a little jealous, but right now, in the middle of this hellscape of chaos? I shake my head, allowing the wolf to guide me with his hand as we turn the corner to the motel. Kudzu stays close behind us, and I look back at him and give him a small smile to show that I was at least appreciating his concern for me. He gives me a short nod back, but otherwise doesn't say anything. Like most of the town, the back of the motel is completely deserted as far as I can see. Another pop that's probably a gunshot echoes in the distance, but I'm thankful they aren't happening every minute like earlier. Again, I wonder if it's because everyone's dead. As fucked up as it is, I think that might be a good thing for us, as long as it doesn't involve any of my friends. We reach the door of the motel and my heart sinks again as I see there's no light coming from the window. Shakily, I raise the key card or to press it against the lock, only to accidentally drop it. I start to bend over to pick it up, but Leo puts a hand on my shoulder, speaking gently into my ear. Don't move, Otter. He sweeps up the card and presses it to the lock. It flashes green and I hear the electric buzz of the lock becoming unlatched before Leo presses down on the door handle and pauses. His other hand suddenly reaches out behind me toward Kudzu. Kudzu, hand me my gun. I'll give you Dukes. Kudzu stares at the hand for a moment, then jumps, as if suddenly realizing what the wolf is talking about. Oh, right. Kudzu lifts his shirt, fumbling with the waistband before pulling out the gun. He hands it to Leo, who in turn hands him Duke's gun. He checks the safety on his own before pointing it towards the door. Leo pauses again, then glances at me. Otter, behind me. Leo nods back to the wall next to the door. I only feel a little twinge of resentment at being treated like a child again, but I'm too eager to check the room to say anything. Finally, Leo gives the door a gentle shove, allowing it to swing open on its own. I can't see anything from behind Leo, but judging by the look on Kudzu's face next to me, they don't see anything. I realize why as Leo slowly reaches inside and flips the light switch. I can't resist and peek around Leo's bulk into the motel room. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe a blood-splattered room with all of our friends' bodies piled in the middle or something. Instead, though, it's basically just how I remember it. I even see my pajamas crumpled up on the side of the bed where I left them. Leo holds steady for a moment, keeping the gun pointed at the ceiling of the room. Finally, he leans in, whispering loudly, "Hello?" There's no response. Leo waits just a little while longer before finally moving forward slowly. I don't wait for Leo's approval to follow and move closely behind him, Kudzu just behind me. There isn't much to search in the motel room, having just the room and the bathroom to check. Once Leo's sure it's clear, I shut the door and lock it before turning to the other two. Just so we know that we're safe. For now, at least. Leo shakes his head. We gotta keep moving, Chase. We should head to my place now. I open Jenna's laptop on the table, pushing the power button. Come on, what are you doing? Leo shifts his weight from one foot to the other. Kudzu moves to stand next to me. Checking the internet? I was hoping to. I sigh as I stare at a password screen. Well, let me check with my phone. Leo sighs again. That's not going to help us. I have Wi-Fi calling. Leo sighs again and sits heavily on the bed, bending it like a bow. He sets his gun on the bedside table before rubbing his face vigorously with both hands. You okay? Saying that Leo's been on edge is an understatement. And sure, we're all fucked up right now, but the way the wolf's been acting, it's like he's a different person. Leo lets his hands slide down his face so he can peer over me over his fingertips. He examines me for a while, then finally reaches out with both hands. Come here, Chula. I almost hesitate, and I'm not sure why. I walk over to him and stand in front of the wolf before he reaches out and pulls me down into his lap. Then he presses my head against his chest before wrapping his arms around me. He starts stroking the back of my neck gently, and it makes me shiver. It all feels a little forced, and we don't melt together naturally like we always used to. I'm sorry about letting all of this happen. I should have told the police when the Duke started threatening earlier. Do you know what's happening? Leo takes in another breath, and his broad chest swells against my cheek before he blows it out, ruffling the fur on my head. I don't know. I really don't. I notice Kudzu standing to the side, clearly trying not to look at us. Any internet? Kudzu looks up and shakes his head. No, I can't find a network. Damn it. Did that bear do anything to you? Hesitation in Leo's voice makes it clear what he's really asking, and it sounds like he's been wanting to ask it for a while. No, he, just tied me up for a while. I guess technically he did do more, in a way, but I don't want to go into that right now. That whole incident actually seems like a long time ago already. Janice's murder, getting near raped by Brian, trying to kill Brian. I feel like there's a numbness in my chest that's dampening my emotions right now, and everything feels like it's far away from me. I wonder if that's some kind of psychological response to what's happening, and if I'll be all fucked up after this is over. Probably. But I kinda welcome the numbness right now. It at least helps me deal with what's happening a little easier. Jenna would probably be able to tell me what's happening right now, if she were here. Of course, that makes me wonder where she and the others are. It makes me want to get out there and find them. Because as much as I want to get the hell out of this place, I feel kinda responsible for them. I did drag all of them here after all. I'm gonna get you out of here. I promise. Leo breathes into my ear and squeezes me a little tighter. I have to hold back a wince as a twinge goes through my back. I have a feeling that I'm going to be very sore tomorrow. I suddenly lift my head to look back at Kudzu. What time is it? Kudzu takes his phone back out of his pocket to check. 3:45. I stare at him. Are you serious? That means it's only been a little more than an hour since we left Kudzu's place. I was hoping that daylight would be a bit closer than that. Kudzu slumps down in the chair at the table. That's what my phone says. I continue to rest my head against Leo's chest, listening to him breathe. I glance up at him and see that his eyes are closed as he continues to stroke the back of my head. I'm about to tell him that we should get moving again, when I think I hear something. It's a soft snuffling sound, like someone's covering up their sniffing. I lay there against Leo, not moving as I continue to listen. A full 10 seconds go by before it happens again, and this time I think it's coming from below us. Under the bed. I look up at Leo again, wondering how to tell him I heard something without saying it out loud. Honestly, with his massive wolf ears, he should have heard it before I did. I reach up and poke at his chin. Leo shakes his head a bit around the poking, but otherwise doesn't open his eyes. I frown and reach up further, touching his cheek. He leans into it. Leo. Barely whisper at him. Finally, he does open his eyes, and I point at my own ears, mouthing, "Listen." I see his ears comically perk up, his eyes looking at the ceiling. I motion down at the bed. I can see Kudzu to the side from his chair, eyeing us curiously, but not saying anything otherwise, thankfully. This time, the snuffling sound is quite a bit louder, and I feel Leo's fur rise up on his arms. That was definitely a person, or something living and breathing at least, and it definitely came from under the bed. Leo slowly and gently pushes me off his lap, motioning me away. Slowly he leans over and grabs up the gun. Then he stands, backing up away from the bed, then crouching slowly, with the gun pointed as he looks under the bed. Oh my god, I hope it's TJ. I see Leo pause, staring, then he reaches out and grabs whatever it is and yanks hard. Ah! TJ continues to writhe, making weird yowling noises that I've never heard him make before. TJ, it's me. It's your friends. We're here to help you, man. Leo's voice is quieter now, more soothing as he tries to calm the crazed lynx. It seems to be working so far, as TJ's violent thrashing lessens, his yowling fading out to more feeble whining sounds. See? I'm here now. You're going to be fine. Finally, TJ's head falls to the carpet, everything going limp. TJ sits on the bed, cross-legged as he rests his back against the headboard. I gave him a blanket when I saw him shivering, and he's got that draped over his shoulders, holding it tightly around himself. It hasn't stopped the shivering, though. I seem to be the only one who doesn't flinch out when we get close, so I sit next to him on the bed. Awkwardly, I put my arm around him, but he seems to take comfort in that and leans against me. The smell of sweat and piss is strong, but I don't say anything. Leo, meanwhile, sits at the end of the other bed, gently trying to get TJ to tell us what the hell happened. Was someone chasing you? Is someone here? TJ shivers against me and I pat his shoulder. He looks at me then, and I see his fur's completely matted to his face, like he's been crying non-stop. I notice bits of dead leaves on his head too, along with some dirt. What the hell he been doing? Leo continues to prod gently at the lynx with his questions. If you can tell us, then we might be able to stop it, or at least watch out for it before we leave. TJ looks at Leo, then opens his mouth, making a squeaking noise. He swallows loudly and tries again. Oh my god! He's crying! Oh my god, so sad. Do we have any water? It sounds like he has an extremely sore throat. I look over to the sink, but Kudzu jumps off the chair he's sitting on and makes his way to it. He grabs up one of those small plastic cups before running the faucet. TJ watches him until the raccoon brings the cup back over. TJ drops the blanket around his shoulders and reaches out eagerly for the cup. We all watch intently as he loudly swallows giant gulps of water before lowering it from his lips and gasping for air. Leo smiles encouragingly. Careful, don't drown yourself. TJ stares, then shivers again, much more violently. I grip him more tightly. Are you cold? I grab up the blanket and try to tuck it around his shoulders better. Kinda, not really. I feel cold, but... TJ rubs at his chest. He's still trembling, and I realize he might be in shock. I don't know what to do for that. In every TV show I've seen, the person is just given a shiny blanket while they sit on the side of the road. So I just continue to rub his shoulder in circular motions, trying to be soothing. I wish Jenna were here. She'd know what to do. He leans against me, though, and I feel like I'm doing the right thing. He holds out the cup to Kudzu again. Could I get some more, please? Sure. Kudzu takes the cup delicately from TJ, like the lynx might break. When Kudzu moves off to the sink again, TJ leans in toward me, whispering, That guy played soccer with us, right? Yeah. Yeah, he did. Right. TJ goes back to leaning against me and staring at the wall. While this isn't good, he does seem to be getting better. He can recognize us again, and remember stuff at least. Leo adjusts himself on the bed, clearing his throat again. Tej, if you can't remember, that's okay. But I just want to make sure no one's, coming after you. TJ blinks, then shakes his head. No, I don't think so. Leo waits, but TJ doesn't say anything more. No one? You were hiding, so... Leo clearly doesn't want to upset the lynx, but it makes sense why he wants to know. If there's something lurking out there, hunting TJ down, we could be in a lot of danger right now. We have to wait, though, as Kudzu comes back with the cup. TJ takes a few more big gulps before looking up at Leo. I thought I saw something. I keep seeing things. I think I need to go home. I stare hard at TJ, studying him. I don't know why, but I guess I thought we'd all be exempt from this hysteria. I knew we were all normal, at least to an extent. This whole crazy chaos seems too foreign, too different for it to affect my friends, people I know that are grounded, normal people. That's exactly what TJ was. And now, Leo stands up and steps closer, sitting down slowly next to TJ, on the opposite of the bed. We are going to go home, Tej. We just have to go on a walk to my car first. Leo reaches out and sets a hand on TJ's leg, and I'm glad to see that he doesn't flinch at all. He's really calming down. Okay. TJ suddenly opens up the blanket around himself, staring down at his clothes. I see his nose twitching, and the skin inside of his ears flushes. Can I take a shower? Leo pauses, clearly not having expected that. Well, we really need to get going. Don't you want to get home and take a shower there? TJ has put the blanket back over himself, trying to hide his pants. I'd just like to feel clean again. I feel like it might be a good thing for him to clean off, maybe have some alone time. Give Leo a meaningful look as I lower my voice gently for TJ. Sure, man. We'll wait. TJ slowly pushes himself off the bed to stand on unsteady legs. Both of his hands, not so subtly, shield his crotch as he walks to the dresser. Okay, just don't leave, okay? We won't. Leo's still using his talking to a toddler voice. The wolf gives me a frustrated look, but I ignore it. And I'm going to leave the door open, so if something happens, just yell. It's fine, and nothing's going to happen, okay? Yeah, okay. TJ pulls out some pants from the dresser before making his way to the bathroom. He keeps glancing back at us, like we're going to disappear if he looks away too long. I try to give him a cheerful smile until he finally disappears into the bathroom. We sit around in a sort of circle in the motel room, Leo and I on the beds, Kudzu in the chair. We keep our voices low as we discuss what's going on, not wanting TJ to hear. This doesn't make sense. TJ's one of the most rational people I know. How is this affecting him? We don't know what's causing it, though. I don't know. Thought it was drugs or something. They all just took the same drug. I don't know. Or maybe they're all crazy because of drugs? Or something set it off? Well, TJ is religious. So if he believes in that, then maybe it could go further than that? I shake my head. No, that doesn't make sense. People in cults do it all the time. But he's not in a cult. It's all kind of the same thing if you think about it. Your whole family is super religious, Leo. Yeah, so I have first-hand experience with all of it. Leo chuckles, despite the situation. It just makes me wonder if this is something more than what's in everyone's head, if even TJ's having it happen. Kudzu taps his chin from the chair he's sitting in. What was it Duke was saying about his grandpa? Something about a curse? Leo waves his hand like he's swatting away a fly. Puchika, speaking of that shit doesn't make sense. Kudzu shrugs. I'm starting to wonder. I fold my arms and look toward the bathroom where steam is wafting from TJ's shower. Well, stop wondering. I don't want you ending up like them. I frown and glance back at the bathroom before lowering my voice. Like TJ? Leo sighs. No, one of those fuckers probably freaked him out or something. He did say he was seeing things. Leo suddenly stands up from his sitting position on the bed. You know what? We should just stop talking about this. We're leaving once he's done anyways. As if on cue, the water shuts off and the automatic dryer starts up. Right after that, TJ's meek voice pipes up from inside the bathroom. You guys still there? I call back gently, cheerfully. We're here, TJ. Leo sighs and moves to the window to look outside, pulling back the curtain just a bit. You think the others are out there right now? Your friends? Yeah, Jenna, Carl, Flynn. I don't know why I hesitated with Flynn's name. Leo silently stares out the window a little longer, the yellow light of the street light falling across his face momentarily. He lets it drop back into place. With any luck, they got the hell out of here when this started. Like I said, if they did, then they would have brought someone back. Really, if anyone got out, then they would have. Leo doesn't say anything, electing to lift the gun that he's had clutches in this entire time to examine it. Doesn't that mean no one's gotten out of here? There's a momentary silence. Hello? We're still here, TJ. Kudzu shifts in the chair. Well, a lot of us here have relations outside the town. Family and work in Peyton, in fact. Kudzu checks his phone again. I'm supposed to be in work in like 5 hours. Someone's gonna notice. Maybe we should wait until morning. Someone has got to be looking for someone here by then. Leo thrusts the gun back into his waistband resolutely. Nope. Relying on other people has gotten us nowhere. We gotta help ourselves. He might have a point, Leo. Your friend looks in pretty bad shape, like mentally. Then I'll carry his ass to the van. I'm leaving and not leaving any of you behind. Leo stops and I follow his gaze to the bathroom where TJ stepped out, his fur a little damp and spiky from his shower and a fresh change of clothes. He stands there awkwardly a moment, rubbing his arm as we all stare at him. Hey, how are you feeling? I'm fine. Things are more clean now. Leo smiles gently. Good. So you remember who we all are? TJ smiles weakly. Yeah, again, things are clear and you guys don't have to talk to me like that. Like I'm crazy. Ah, sorry. I clear my throat and try to assume a less I'm talking to a crazy person tone. Do you think you can make it to Leo's? We can stay here if you want. Wait for someone to find us. I ignore Leo's exasperated sigh from behind me. TJ glances at the bed. I'd like to just lay down, but he looks back up at us, clasping his hands together. I think something is happening here. Doing something to our heads. I don't know. Leo narrows his eyes. What do you mean? TJ looks off to the side. I just saw things that shouldn't be here. This has never happened to me before, so... TJ looks down at his hands. I remember someone was chasing me, trying to grab me, and I scratched at it. TJ looks back up at us. And it was Jenna. But I was too scared. I didn't know if it was really her or not, so I ran, and she didn't follow me. TJ's starting to shiver again. What did she look like when you didn't know it was her, exactly? TJ frowns, opening his mouth to say something, then closes it again. Finally, he looks at Leo, apparently deciding to ignore the question. Can we find her? I can't stop thinking about it, and I want to make sure she's okay. His voice gets a little broken, but he manages to control his tears this time. Leo grimaces. We really need to go, TJ. The faster we can get help, the faster we can help everyone here, including Jenna. The corners of TJ's mouth tug down in a frown, but he doesn't say anything. But if we see her on the way, of course we'll bring her with us, okay? TJ's still looking like he's trying not to cry, but nods quickly. Leo rolls his shoulders, keeping the gun pointed at the ground as he moves to the door. Now, everyone stay close to me. Chase, keep with TJ. Kudzu, you bring up the rear. Got it? Alright. We're just going to head up the street to the diner. Not far at all. I look up at TJ, trying to give him a reassuring smile. He's still looking at his hands, though, so I move over to him, putting an arm around his shoulder, gently guiding him to the door. The trek to the diner practically silent compared to just a few hours ago. Aside from the nightlife, there's no screaming or shooting. The way there is fairly straightforward, straight down the main road. However, we decide to cut through backyards instead of using the road. Leo tells us is the best way to not be seen, if there are people around. TJ keeps close to me, wanting to keep my arm around his shoulder. As we move, his eyes either squeezed shut or staring straight ahead. It's like we're moving through a haunted house, and he's too terrified to look in either direction. If it does get too difficult to keep him that close, though, especially as we start to move through bushes and hop fences, I opt to hold his hand instead. In any other situation, I'm sure TJ would have been running for the hills in embarrassment, but he clings to me like he's never going to let go. We all move in silence through the brush. The quiet is actually almost as unnerving as the shouts and gunshots were. As we move under a few stray trees, I try to keep the memory of seeing the corpse strung up out of my head. There's no way a demon, or whatever they said it was, did that. It was one of the town crazies, killed and then mutilated that person to convince us of their delusions. There's 4 of us now, and 2 of us have guns. We're going to be fine. We get to after only about 5 minutes, though most of it is spent floundering through the brush and old broken fences. Because of the meandering, we actually miss it and have to backtrack. Cautiously, we make our way around the diner to the parking lot and immediately spot the lone van. When we finally do get there, Leo jogs up to his van, shoving a hand into his pocket. But then he freezes and stares down. Fuck. Me and TJ arrive next to Leo, and TJ finally lets go of my hand. What is it? I ask, but I see the problem at the same time that I do. The two tires that I can see are brutally slashed and completely flat. I bet that the other two are in the same way. Leo puts his hands up to his face, rubbing his eyes vigorously with his palms. What? Who did that? TJ reaches out and grasps my hand again. Kudzu moves over to the other side of the van to inspect it. Brian. Leo growls out the name. How do you know? Leo doesn't say anything, sitting down on his haunches as he stares at the completely destroyed wheel. Who's that? TJ asks quietly from beside me, studying my expression. I wonder if I should tell him. Probably not. I'm scared of seeing things is bad enough. We don't need TJ to be worried about an actual person who's out to kill us. I'd actually completely forgotten about the bear up to this point. If it truly was him, then we're in even more danger than I thought. It's just another person that we saw. He was acting weird. It's alright. TJ doesn't seem to take much comfort in that, staring at the tires. Whether or not it was Brian, whoever it was had done a number on the tires, completely tearing the rear tire to shreds. Kudzu comes from around the side of the van, shaking his head. Other two tires are the same. How far do you think we'd get on flats? Leo lets out a ragged growl, standing back up. Not far enough. We'd probably get to the lake before the goddamn wheels fall off. Leo stands there, thinking. Should we just go back to the motel? Leo shakes his head. No, I'm not staying here another minute. I'd rather start walking, actually. To the highway? That'd take half the day. Well, we'd at least be getting somewhere instead of sitting around here. I look down Main Street, towards the darkness of the lake and the desert. The ominous feeling I get is overwhelming, like I have no doubt that if we set out into the desert, we wouldn't last long at all. I don't know why. I shudder violently and TJ glances at me. He squeezes my hand, and I find it funny how quickly the role of the one doing the reassuring has flipped. I think we should go back to the motel. Leo finally looks back at me, and I see his expression soften. Hey, Otter, it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna get us out of here, okay? I notice the same tone he used with TJ earlier. He sets his hands on my shoulders, but I honestly don't feel very reassured. TJ pipes up from next to me. Carl's house has some cars. Maybe he's there and we could leave with him and the car. Leo looked towards the hilltop where Carl's house is at. We can't see it, since all the lights are apparently off. Maybe. If he's not there, we could just break in. I see TJ blanch next to me. Even now, he's battling his moral values versus our need to survive. I still just want to go to the motel, hole up in there, and wait. Maybe sleep. I'd give anything just to be able to lie down somewhere safe right now. But now, with the new possibility factor of Brian, I can see the benefit of getting the hell out of here now. Alright. Leo sets his jaw, narrowing his eyes. Let's go. Remember to stay close. We don't bother going off road on the way to Carl's place, mainly because we'd just be trudging through sagebrush full of ticks at that point. Leo figures that since Carl's house is the only thing up this road, aside from through the canyon to nowhere, no one would be driving there anyway. It takes us about 20 minutes to get there, walking in silence up the cracked road. The only sounds are panting. I'm the loudest, considering my short legs, and also that I'm probably the most out of shape compared to the others. When we're close to the mansion, I look back down toward Echo. Only a few of the street lights dot the small town. I don't see anyone on the roads near them. I see a window or two here and there with their lights on, but no movement from within. We only hear two sounds on our trek. One is a blood-curdling scream coming from the town behind us. A woman. TJ reaches out again for my hand when that happens, and I squeeze his comfortingly. The next thing, a few minutes later, is a faint laughter coming from further away that rises in pitch before fading back out. I grimace, wondering if anyone else heard it, or if it came from inside my head. No one says anything, and I don't ask. By the time we reach the mansion, I'm covered in sweat, and I keep adjusting my shirt uncomfortably as it sticks to my chest and shoulders. Garage door is closed, and there aren't any cars in the driveway. I wonder if maybe Carl already took off. I hope he did. We stand in front of the door, and Leo holds out a hand to us, motioning us to be quiet. I watch his ears poke up to full extension before he moves to the glass on the door, cupping both hands over his eyes to peer inside. We wait a tense moment, and I wonder if maybe he's looking in on something horrific. But after a while, Leo pulls back, shaking his head. Can't hear or see anything. Maybe he left, or he's with one of the others. Kudzu offers quietly, standing just behind me. Maybe. Leo appears to be thinking hard. Then he reaches out to the doorbell with an index finger. He hesitates for a full 2 seconds before pressing it. The fancy chime rings softly from inside. I notice Leo's got a hand on his gun, watching through the glass intently. I also notice that not only is TJ pressing close to me, but so is Kudzu from the other side, his shoulders slightly ahead of mine. It's almost like he's shielding me. A minute goes by before Leo tries again. We wait another minute before Leo lets out a ragged sigh. Whether it's from relief or frustration, I'm not sure which. Considering what's happening, you'd think some people from the town would have come here to loot or something. Yeah. I look back at the town, its few glints of light staring ominously back. I'm able to suppress my shiver this time. I turn back just in time to see Leo try the door, and to my amazement, it opens. Leo seems surprised too, and lets go to let the door slowly swing open. We all stare into the blackness beyond, a few lights from the TV glowing in the distance. Should we go in? Leo clears his throat. Well, we gotta get the keys somehow. Leo steps inside slowly, hand reaching along the wall to find a light switch. He finds it, though the light only illuminates the foyer, the house going from goddamn dark to slightly less goddamn dark. It's just Carl's kitchen, though. Nothing seems to be out of place as far as I can see. I start to step forward too, but I can feel TJ hesitate on my hand. I look back at him. You alright? He's staring into Carl's house, his eyes wide. Yeah, I'm good. It's probably safer inside anyway, right? TJ swallows and finally steps in with me, Kudzu following close behind. The mansion inside is pleasantly cool against my sweaty fur. There's something strangely comforting about something as simple as the AC still running. A sense of normalcy. Leo stands there, looking around intently before moving to the cupboards. He starts opening drawers, searching the counter, looking for keys. I leave TJ to huddle on the couch before moving to the kitchen myself. Hey, can we look for Carl too? Leo closes a drawer full of silverware. Yeah, give me a sec. I sigh. I'll be fine. I'll be faster if I look for him while you look for the keys. Leo shakes his head. Gotta stick together. I suppress another sigh and move back to the living room. Somehow TJ's already managed to fall into a doze, curled up in a small ball on the couch. How are you doing? I look over at Kudzu, who's got his arms folded, watching me closely. I'm doing okay, just kinda tense. Kudzu gives one of his rare smiles at that. No kidding. Yeah. I glance over at Leo, who's starting to rifle through some Drawers full of what looks like open letters. What's up? I look back at Kudzu. I'm just thinking about Carl, if he's here or not. I glance back at Leo. Hey, Leo wants us to stick together, but... I look back at Kudzu. You want to help me find Carl? Maybe you sweep the upstairs and I'll have a look in the basement real quick. Kudzu glances at Leo as well. It'll make things go a bit faster. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I really don't think anyone's in this house. Kudzu nods towards the window facing the town. From what I've seen, people are mostly wrapped up in their own issues. Yeah, I don't think anyone's interested in looting here. Well, alright. I'll take a quick look upstairs. I smile. Cool. I'll take a quick look downstairs. Oh, and keep a lookout for the keys too. And with that, we both move to the staircase. I give Leo one last glance to make sure he's not watching before we both head in our retrospective upward and downward directions. I flip on the light switch to head into the basement, and it's only when I stare into the dark hole I'm heading toward that I get the first inklings of fear. I shake my head, remembering what Kudzu said. If anyone's here, it's definitely only Carl, and that would be a good thing. If we can find him, we can bring him with us and we'll be on our way out of this hellhole. I tell myself this as I bounce quickly down the stairs, wanting to get this over with as soon as possible. Now in the basement, I glance around quickly into the several doors down here. A storage room, a weight room, a video game looking room. I start to realize that if Carl is here, he's most likely upstairs, and I'm really just giving the basement a cursory check. I start to rush through, not wanting to take too long in case Leo notices, if he hasn't already. I reach the end of the long basement hallway, and I'm left looking into a smaller room. There's a tiny white wooden door that I assume leads to the crawl space. I stare at it for a moment, not even thinking to bother with it, until I see a little white hoof prints. There are several of them, like someone came and went dozens of times, into and out of the crawl space. I look back behind myself, feeling a chill run up my spine, like someone's watching me. Looking back at the prints, I notice that the little door is just slightly open. Could Carl be in there? I remember that he'd been down here when we couldn't find him during the birthday party. At that moment, I catch a glimpse of something poking out from the door. It's skinny and hairy and very long, maybe 6 inches in length. I stare at it, wondering if it's a Halloween decoration that's stored under there. Chase! Leo's voice booming down the stairs makes me jump a foot in the air. I don't have time to stare at the black thing any longer, and instead stumble down the hall toward the sound of Leo's voice. The icy glare directed at me as I move up the stairs actually makes me cower a little bit. I'm not used to having his monolithic anger directed at me. I told you to stick together. His voice rumbles out at me. Sorry, I found something. Well, Kudzu did too. Carl's upstairs. What? The thoughts of the hoof prints disappear from my mind immediately. He told me you were down here. Come on. More gently now, he grasps my hand, pulls me the rest of the way upstairs. I'm expecting us to turn into Carl's room, but instead we go further toward the end of the hall. I think this is where Carl's parents' bedroom is. Carl's lying on the bed, looking over at TJ, who's in the middle of talking to him from the side. He glances our way when we enter the room. Leo? Chase? He squints at us, like he's having trouble focusing. I smile and sigh with relief. Carl. I move to the side of the bed, next to TJ, and that's when I see that the ram is covered in a white-looking chalk substance. It reminds me of the prints downstairs. It's all over his horns, and a bit of what looks like drywall is covering the pillow around his head. What happened? Are you okay? Were you just taking a nap? Easy, Leo says to me, so I shut my mouth. TJ reaches out and grabs up one of Carl's big hands. The ram just stares at the ceiling now, looking just as confused as we are. I look over at Kudzu, who's standing a little off to the side, like he did when we were trying to talk to TJ. What happened? I mumble at the raccoon and Kudzu moves a little closer. I don't know. I just came in and thought he was taking a nap or something. I glance back at Carl, watching as TJ starts to gently pet his forehead. But he wasn't? Kudzu shrugs. He was sort of, I don't know. He was sweating and mumbling. I kept calling his name, like really loudly, to the point that Leo came up. Carl starts to breathe heavily, and he covers his face. I think he's crying, so I step back a bit with Kudzu, not wanting to crowd him as TJ leans over and hugs him. It wasn't until Leo touched him that he woke up, like, really suddenly. Huh? Oh. No, I'm fine. Carl lets out a weird, shaky laugh as he sits up, wiping his eyes. I was just having a really fucked up dream. Felt like I was in it for hours, man. Carl leans back on his hands, staring at the ceiling again. I had a dream that the town went fucking insane. Then I ran back here and sort of just went downstairs and then I was gone. Gone? Where? Carl shakes his head. I don't know. A hotel or something? A few hallways that went in circles and I couldn't get out or wake up. Carl looks back at us. Even now I don't know if I'm dreaming. At least there's people around. Carl shakes his head, a cloud of dust coming up from the fur. What are you guys doing here anyway? Actually, the town did go a bit strange. What? Really? Leo seems to hesitate, clearly not wanting to rile up Carl more than he already is. Yeah, but we're trying to leave. Actually, that's why we're here. We need a car. So what I saw in the town, however long ago that was, it really happened? Maybe. Like, people were running around, shooting and stuff. Leo doesn't say anything to that. Why do you need my car? What about your van? It broke down. Carl narrows his eyes. How? Listen, we'll tell you everything on the way. We just need to get out of here now. TJ picks up some of the bits of white chalk from Carl's head fur. What's all over you? Carl runs a hand over his head, bringing it away to find it covered in white dust. Ran into the wall. Oh. Carl suddenly points at my arm. Dude, what happened? Huh? Oh. I lift up my arm and remember the cut that I got from the broken window. The fur is heavily matted down with blood, and the jagged cut is still oozing a little bit. Long story. We'll explain, like Leo said. The ram stares at the cut, so I lower my arm. It seems to finally be setting in for Carl that things are not right. I've also realized that none of us are immune to the new hysteria setting into town. Is this what it was like for all those people living in the town over 100 years ago? I managed to think humorously to myself that I actually did do what I set out to when I started the project. It's pretty clear that it's happening all over again. So, you got your keys. We need to get the hell out of here and get this town some help. Yeah, I'll get them from my room. We pull quietly out of the driveway in Carl's car, which makes almost no sound since it's a hybrid. Leo's driving, of course. Carl's still woozy, and Leo actually had to help him walk around to find the keys. I sit in the back, between Carl and TJ, while Kudzu sits in the passenger seat next to Leo. I overheard Leo mumbling to Kudzu to sit next to him while I helped Carl into the car. Something about them needing to be able to get out of the car quickly with their guns if something went down. Leo doesn't floor it like I expected him to, but we move through the bench of the mountain and through the town speedily enough. I see TJ looking out his own window intently, and I can only imagine it's to see if he can spot Jenna, maybe even Flynn. Dude, I don't feel good. Carl mumbles next to me, both his hands on his stomach, twisting at the fabric of his hoodie. Just puke on the floor if you have to. I don't think Leo's going to stop. Carl leans over and puts his head between his knees, groaning. That gets TJ's attention and he starts rubbing the ram's back, slowly. Good thing it feels like there's nothing in me. So what the hell is going on? Where's Jenna? TJ frowns. We don't know. What happened then? I take a deep breath, trying to figure out how to explain. Well, we're not sure what's going on everywhere, but on Saturday while I was at the diner with Leo, I go through my story as quickly as I can, explaining to Carl what's going on. The rest of the car is quiet, so I get anxious when I get to the part about Brian and skip over it as much as I can. I only mention that he held me there for a day. By the time I finish, we're already passing the lake. Huh. So is it Sunday already? Sunday morning? Yeah, I guess so. So I was out a whole fucking day? I don't say anything in response. What happened to you, Tej? Are you okay? Carl turns his gaze on TJ, who just nods. Yeah, I was seeing things too. People chasing me. I'm okay now, though. TJ actually does seem pretty stable now after everything that's happened. Maybe taking care of Carl is taking his mind off whatever happened to him. Either way, he doesn't expand on what he saw. Carl shivers and puts his head back down while TJ continues to rub his back. A few minutes of silence go by before Carl speaks up again. That feels kinda nice. Reminds me of my mom. Yeah, actually my mom did it too. Thought it might help. Hey, I love you, just so you know. All of you guys. I'm glad I'm not in that place anymore. I love you too, Carl. And everyone else. You too, Raccoon Man. I like that. You too, Raccoon Man. Thanks. Yeah. I affirm my own love for everyone. Kudzu glances back at us before turning his attention out his own window. Leo doesn't say anything from the front. His focus solely on the road ahead of him. I like that. You too, Trash Man. I like that. I watch the desert whip by us, for the first time feeling somewhat safe as the town disappears behind us. But of course, it doesn't last long. What's that? On the side of the road there? Leo turns his head in the direction that Kudzu points. We all do. What we see changes everything for me from that point on. Okay, I'm going to ask you, should I, stop here and leave a cliffhanger, or continue on with it? Because it makes, zero difference to me. Sure, things were crazy, and I had a hard time believing anything was happening, but it was explainable. People like Duke, Brian, TJ, even Carl were all seeing things. But it was kind of a distant thing, in a way. Something everyone else was experiencing. Something I was exempt from. But now, there it is. Something I can't explain right in front of me. What is that? Oh my gosh. TJ covers his mouth. Carl sits up straight, trying to see. Leo slows down as we pass. There's my car, all of the windows shattered. And there's Duke, lying a dozen feet away from the open door of the driver's side. And there, crouching over him, is something I can't explain. Hairless, body and limbs long, way too long. Head comes up, and all I can see are 3 holes and blood. TJ screams next to me, and Leo shouts something before stepping on the gas, slamming me back into my seat. I try to look back, but whatever it was is gone. At least, it's gone from where it was, because I see something move next to my window, and I turn to face it, and it stares back at me. But only for a moment. That thing, whatever the fuck it is, disappears almost the instant I register that it's there. I'm only staring out into the blackness of the desert. Still, 3 holes, 2 eyes and a mouth, blink back at me in a sort of after-image before that too vanishes. What was that? What was that? TJ's grabbing my arm, claws digging painfully into my skin. I'm too shocked to even pull away as TJ leans forward next to me, staring out my window. At least I know I'm not the only one that saw it. TJ squeaks again when no one answers him. What was it? I don't know. Some kind of animal, maybe? I've never seen anything like that before. Could have had a disease, lost all of its fur or something. Maybe Duke hit it. But it was walking! TJ's arm is looped around mine, and I can feel his body shaking. I look over my shoulder, through the back window. At this point, my car's a good distance away, only visible because the headlights are on. A streak of light fading out across the desert. Duke, is he... Some dry retching noises followed by heavy splattering sounds cuts me off. Carl is hunched over in the seat, head between his legs. It isn't hard to figure out what just happened, especially when the smell hits me. Oh my gosh, Carl! TJ looks torn between blanching away and comforting the ram. Carl comes back up, looking like he's about to say something before diving forward again. A much louder retch, followed by a much quieter plopping sound follows. I grimace, feeling my own stomach roil. God. TJ's looking back at us, paw up to his... Kudzu's looking back at us, a paw up to his nose. You okay? Carl keeps his head down a while longer, his fingers twisting into the fabric of his shorts. TJ tentatively rubs his back. I would have done it out the window. I don't want to open any of the windows now, though. It's okay. Leo, are there any napkins up there? Leo, who's been silent up until now, remains silent. He's staring out the windshield hard, paws on the wheel in a death grip. After a moment of silence, Kudzu checks the cup holders, then opens the glove compartment. After rummaging around for a minute, he pulls out a stack of fast food style napkins. He hands them back to Carl, who starts mopping up whatever mess he's made on himself. During all this time, I'm still glancing out the windows. Not head on, though, because I'm terrified I'm going to look straight into those eyes again. We drive in silence for the next 5 minutes, with no creature in sight, thankfully. But I don't know what to think right now. There's no way what I saw was some animal, like Kudzu implied. The way it moved, the way it was crouched, and most of all, its face. I've never seen anything like it. At least anything that's not a Halloween costume. Maybe one of those locals dressed up in a costume, or something. But then, how the fuck did it keep up with the car? Were we going that fast? Leo did slow down a little. I keep these thoughts to myself. Everyone looks freaked out enough without any more speculation. So instead I lean back in my seat, deciding to just close my eyes. We're on our way out, and soon I'll be safe in a police station, or a hospital, or something. It'll be explained when the cops get here. I try not to think about Duke on the ground, Janice at the diner, Jenna out there, somewhere, with that thing. I shake my head, eyes still closed. Are you okay, Chase? TJ's arm is still around mine, the places where our fur is pressed together getting hot and sweaty. I don't mind, though, as long as it brings him some comfort. Yeah, I'm just tired. Actually, now that I mention it, I am pretty tired. I didn't exactly get that much sleep in Kudzu's trailer, or Brian's. I start to drift off as my head bumps gently against the headrest, the soft whir of the AC on my forehead. What the fuck? The car lurches as Leo slows us down again. Reluctantly, I open my eyes, half expecting to see some other kind of nightmarish ghoul out the window, but I don't see anything, just the road stretching ahead of us. What's wrong? Leo's quiet for a moment. I can't see his face since I'm right behind him, but I can see the outline of his twitching ears. Leo turns in his seat, looking out the passenger window, then his own. I'm heading the right way, right? I look out the window as well, not seeing anything except sagebrush and cacti. But then I do notice something. The mountains, which had been on the right, are now on my left, rising up ominously in the distance. Had we turned around somehow? Unless we're on the highway, which we definitely aren't. This road merges right onto the highway. There's no way we could miss it. I hear TJ gasp softly next to me. I look over at him, but he's looking straight ahead, out the windshield. I do the same, and in the distance I can see the headlights off the side of the road. No way! What is it? Leo brings the car to a hard stop, throwing me forward into the seatbelt. Then he does a quick 3-point turn, shoving me right, then left before I'm smacked into the seat as Leo accelerates again. Whoa, careful. Parents will kill me if you fuck up the ride. Carl laughs nervously, but no one pays attention to him. There's no fucking way. I was going straight. There's that side road that takes you to some of the trails. Maybe we sort of went off on. Lejo snaps at the links suddenly. There's no way, TJ. That road is fucking gravel. I would have noticed. Leo is hunched in his seat like an angry dad, staring out the windshield, his ears practically dancing on his head. Okay, I get it you're frustrated, but you don't have to be fucking rude to TJ. He's just a baby. I can feel TJ trembling, so I lean into him a bit, letting him know that I'm there. It's clear that Leo doesn't want any talking, so we're all quiet. This time, I keep my eyes open, staring out the window in case Leo did get sidetracked somehow. I focus on the mountains, making sure that they don't disappear. They slope up and down gently under the moonlight, speckled with the dark spots of rock and vegetation. Vaguely, I remember back when I'd been obsessed with skateboarding, and I'd always imagined myself skating those slopes on car trips to Peyton. Up and down, up and down. If only Echo had anything like that. The only slope we had was the one down from Carl's mansion, and it was way too big. I tried to skateboard down it once, but that ended in disaster when, a blink, staring out the window as the mountains just disappear, slope down into nothing. I squint, then I look out Carl's window. Sure enough, mountains. Leo? I know. Leo speeds up instead of turning around, though. This is im-fucking-possible. What are you doing? TJ's claws come out against my skin as he gets that scared cat look in his eyes. Leo mumbles, mostly to himself. There's no way we're going back to Echo. Leo, slow down, little. Leo lets out a small growl but relents, and TJ's grip on my arms loosens some. I'm going to keep going until I see that car, because I sure as hell didn't turn around that time. The tone in Leo's voice keeps any of us from arguing, though I hate to admit it. Something about his demeanor has me just as scared of him as I am of whatever is out there. Another minute of driving, more awkward silence. Then, Leo hisses through his teeth. Straight ahead of us, the headlights appear. What? I must be dreaming. It's like we're stuck in some kind of loop. Leo slows down more and more until we come to a gentle stop. We sit there in silence, staring at my car, about 100 yards in front of us. Leo starts muttering darkly to himself, looking out the windows, looking at the dashboard. I want to ask him if he's okay, but I know what the answer is. TJ makes soft whimpering sounds next to me, like he's trying not to cry, and I finally put my arm around him. It's okay. It's just dark, and we're going off-road somehow. I whisper, whatever comes to my mind to explain what the fuck is happening. Carl has his head down in his paws, completely quiet. He could be asleep for all I know. I think about suggesting that maybe we should just wait it out until morning in the car, but as I open my eyes, I hear scratching noise toward the back of the car. TJ's ears perk up, which lets me know that I'm not the only one. Instinctively, I turn around in my seat. Bits of glass fly into my face, and the next thing I know, I'm cowering in the seat, head down as far as I can push it. Carl, very much awake now, screams at Leo, "Go, go, go!" Leo's already on it, and I feel the car jolt forward. Then I'm bouncing up and down in the seat as we go off-road, Leo not bothering with a 3-point this time, instead going for a full U-turn. We're back on the asphalt and speeding down the road when I feel it's safe enough to raise my head back up and look out the back window. For a moment, I'm terrified that I'm going to find that thing crouching on the trunk, staring at us. But instead, all I see is a giant hole through the back window, the remaining glass jagged. Are you guys okay? Leo looks back and forth between us and the road ahead of him. I sit up fully. I think so. I yell at him over the sound of the car and the wind whistling around behind me. Carl is bent over in his seat too, brushing glass from his hat and hoodie. I look at TJ, who's still crouched over in his own seat, covering his head. Bits of glass are scattered on his back and in his head fur. I pick up some of the pieces from the fur on his neck and lean over him. TJ, are you okay? TJ shudders and doesn't say anything as I pluck some of the shards from under his collar. What was that? Kudzu shouts back at us, staring through the window. I don't know. I don't want to think about what I actually think it was. Leo keeps up the high speed, hitting some of the potholes hard enough that I'm worried we're going to get a flat. Then we'd be in some real trouble. We drive on for another 5 minutes in silence, and then the headlights of my car appear in front of us again. This time no one says anything, and Leo doesn't bother turning around. I watch out my window as we fly past my old car. Duke is still in there, on the ground. No movement from where he was the last time we saw him. Since this is the area where the creature seems to be prowling, I look out the back window. I want to be ready in case it tries to come through again, but nothing happens. All I see is a small stretch of asphalt illuminated red from the taillights, and all I hear is the wind whipping through my ears. I keep a hand on TJ's back as he continues to remain hunched over. Carl sits quietly, staring out his window. On the bright side, the bastion-backed window has diminished the smell of sick. Sparse dots of lights show up on the horizon, indicating where Echo is. That's when Leo speaks up. Alright, what we're going to do is head back to my house. You guys can get some sleep while I figure out what to do next. Leo pauses, but no one says anything. Sound good? Yeah, not much left to do. Leo grunts and hunches forward in his seat again. There's a sinking feeling in my stomach at the thought of going back to Echo. There is the comfort of at least not being out in the wilderness, but I wonder if that's much worse than the town, even with that creature prowling around. Yo, what? Yo, I think that's it. Let me zoom in real quick. Is that it? Yo, seriously, is that it? Is that the creature? Like, right there? Yo, what the fuck? What the fuck is that? Do you have any idea what that is? Because I have no clue what that is. I know, right? That's the thing that made TJ act like a weirdo. There we go. Let me adjust this to where it doesn't look like garbage. And perfect. I like that. Lanky boy. But seriously, that thing is jank as fuck. I stare at my window, watching the mountains move slowly under the moonlight as we turn onto Lake Emma Road. I'm wondering if taking one of the mountain roads out of town would be worth it, whether we'd have enough gas when it happens. A crouched figure Yo, what the fuck? He just disappeared. Like, look at this shit. He straight up disappeared. That is, I think that's Harry Potter level bullshit. No, that's Minecraft level bullshit. A creature figure sits on the peak of the hill, just about 50 feet from where we are. I squint at it, just barely able to make out what looks like shoulders and a head hunched up over the light of the moon. I'm directly across from the thing when I open my mouth. He's back. He's come to take the dirt blocks. Okay, I'm actually going to end this here because I have shit that I need to do tomorrow. Okay, we made a lot of progress. I have a feeling that we're very close to the end. But, anyways, have a good night. Try to get some sleep because I sure as fuck know that I'm not getting any tonight. Not after seeing that thing. That Enderman looking thing. Good night.